Hello everyone, it's Tutor Mifzal here, and today we are going to discuss about simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion. But before we do that, do follow me on my Facebook and Instagram account at Tutor Mifzal, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So now let's begin. So simple diffusion is similar as diffusion itself, but before we dive deeper into simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion, firstly we need to understand the definition of diffusion and the concept of diffusion. So as we all know, diffusion is the movement of substance or particles at random from a higher concentration region to a lower concentration region until equilibrium is reached. So in order for us to truly understand this concept over here, I am going to illustrate it into a diagram. So here I have drawn a beaker, and this beaker is filled with water, and we add copper to sulfate into this beaker. So let's just label it as copper to sulfate over here. So imagine if we would zoom inside this copper to sulfate, what we'll see is that we'll see tiny particles which moves at random and collide into one another. So this is the particles of copper to sulfate, and the concentration of copper to sulfate at this point over here is the highest, therefore it has the highest concentration, and at the surface of the water it has the lowest concentration because there's no or less copper to sulfate. So what will happen is that we know that from diffusion, diffusion will occur when there is a concentration gradient, meaning that we have a higher concentration region and a lower concentration region. So what will happen is that this particles of copper to sulfate will travel across the water molecules to fill up the spaces between the water molecules until equilibrium is reached, meaning that it would occupy all the space until the solution completely turns blue, from colorless completely turns blue. So this is what will happen, and this process is known as diffusion. So similarly, inside our body, inside the plasma membrane, the same thing happens. So here we have pore protein, carrier protein, and basically we have the plasma membrane. And we know that simple diffusion is only for lipid soluble substances, oxygen and also carbon dioxide. So I'll just draw these molecules for a while. So what we have over here is oxygen molecules or oxygen gas over here. So this oxygen, in the extracellular matrix, we have a high concentration of oxygen, and here we have low O2, low concentration of O2, meaning that there's only little oxygen over here. So what will happen is that the high concentration of oxygen will diffuse across the plasma membrane through the phospholipid bilayer to the intracellular matrix, because here we already have high concentration of oxygen and here we have a low concentration of oxygen. Therefore this process is known as diffusion. Alright, so now our main question is, what about those big molecules like amino acids and glucose? Well, amino acids and glucose cannot enter the plasma membrane because of their large structure, so they need to be facilitated by carrier proteins and pore protein. In order for us to absorb glucose and amino acids and ions and small molecules, we will need pore protein and also carrier protein. The process is still the same. We still need a concentration gradient, and the process of absorbing amino acid and glucose is known as diffusion, meaning that in the extracellular matrix we have high concentration of amino acids and also high concentration of glucose. Meanwhile, inside the cell we have only little concentration of amino acids and glucose. So what will happen is that amino acids and glucose will enter through the pore protein by a process known as diffusion, so that it can be absorbed inside our cells, whereas carrier protein carries larger molecules, amino acid, glucose, ions. It can be any large substances and big molecules. So one of the applications of facilitated diffusion, as we all know, is the absorption of amino acids and glucose in the small intestine. And whereas simple diffusion, we know it from the exchange of respiratory gases of oxygen and also carbon dioxide. So that's about it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that this video is beneficial for you, and if you find this video really helpful, do share it, like it, and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to follow me on my Facebook and Instagram account at Tutor Mirza. See you soon, guys. Bye.